Hello and welcome to another episode of Guess Who's Cooking. I'm your host, Manny Knowles, and joining me in the kitchen today to prepare two delicious dessert recipes is the mother of several very good friends of mine. Joining me today, Mrs. Agatha Burrows. I made it through your introduction, right? How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Good. And what are you going to prepare for us today?
I'm going to do arugula and shortbread cookies.
All right. These are wonderful. I had some last night. I sampled a few of the goodies, and they're wonderful. I can't wait to see how these are made. Explain for us briefly why you've actually prepared some in advance. It takes a little while to do this, right?
Yes.
Okay. And well, I guess we'll get into all of the details of that as you go along.
Yes.
So you're going to show us how to make both of these, and we've actually got all of the ingredients needed here, and we'll start off by showing you all of the ingredients you need, and then as we prepare, we'll give you, as usual, the separate ingredients for each recipe. Go ahead and show us what we have.
This is ice and sugar, granulated sugar, currants, and pecans.
And I have on this side all-purpose flour, butter, cream cheese, cornstarch, and we have two types of jam. We have apricot jam and guava jam and cinnamon. And what are you going to start with?
Shortbread cookies.
The shortbread cookies. All right, so let's get into it. Not a whole lot of ingredients, really just 5 in front of me. I see the guava jam, powdered sugar, this is flour. So what's this one here?
Cornstarch.
Cornstarch, wow. And some butter. And why don't you go ahead and show us how you mix those together.
Okay, we start with the butter.
Okay. So you're going to take the whole thing. That's roughly a cup in there, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
And we just add flour, ice and sugar, cornstarch, and mixed.
Okay, so this takes a little bit of elbow grease. You said you don't like to do this in a mixer.
No, it
And why is that? What happens?
gets too soft, and
Okay.
it's not easy to handle because of so much butter.
Is this a recipe that you prepare a lot?
Not a lot. My children like it very much, but I haven't made any for a little while.
Okay, so they're going to be in for a treat today because you've had to make how many batches in the last few days in preparation for this episode?
3.
3. Wow. And
Well, this is the second. I might do another one.
okay, so I mentioned earlier that you're the mother to several friends of mine, and I'm trying to think how many of them have been on this show. Only one, actually. That would be Derek Burrows, who you may remember, made 2 types of bread for us. You're also the mother of Philip Burrows, behind the camera, calling the shots on this show, and David Jonathan Burrows, who a lot of you may recognize from On Stage at the Dundas, and Stephen Burrows, also on stage at the Dundas quite a bit in the past, not so much these days. And I've missed 1, 2. I've missed 2. You have 2 other children who I don't
Yes.
actually know.
An only daughter, Dion. You don't know Dion?
I've met Dion, yes, that's right. I've met
Okay.
Dion.
And Ramon.
Yes? Wow. And what do? You do a lot of baking?
Yes, I love to bake.
Wow, well, then you're lucky because they say you're blessed when your work is something that you really enjoy doing, right? Now, hold on. You had pre-measured some flour. What are we doing here? This looks like this is one of those by eye kind of things. Is that what's happening here?
Well, it gets a little soft. You have to use a little flour when you're going to make the little cookies.
I don't know if we're getting this really well on TV, but it really looks like mashed potatoes right now. And that's like the general consistency right now. So I
Yeah.
guess that's wrong. So if you've got mashed potatoes there, keep going.
No, this is the way you roll.
hang
You
on
do
now.
them.
Now is this, okay, so that's not a test. You're happy with that. That's ready to go. Now, help us here predict the future a little bit. The thumbprint, what's going on there? That's a little space for the jam, right? Look at that. Wow. And this is going to take how long to bake?
15, 20 minutes.
So this really is something that you can prepare fairly quickly because it didn't take very long to mix all of this, and it's not going to take long to bake.
No.
It's the other one.
Ha ha ha.
Now, I'm told that you had said, never again.
That's
Is
right.
that true?
That's right.
And I guess we're going to find out why.
Yes, you will.
It's a very involved process, but
It
you know,
is.
the results are well worth it. Don't you say never again out there. You've got to try this because it's
Well,
it's
my
really
children love the arugula.
good. Well, and this is we've gone through this whole trouble of creating a television show as a roundabout way of getting you to make some more arugula. So now you know why we got into showbiz. It's to get some of these pastries. This is wonderful. So what are some of the other things that you prepare that aren't so troublesome for you?
Gee, I don't know. I do many different types of cakes and cookies and...
I've had some of your strawberry cake.
Oh, that's a very simple one.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay. I really
Very.
like that a lot. It didn't seem simple from, it was wonderful. It's nice bright pink. You can see the strawberries and stuff in
Mhm.
it. It's really nice. And you said that you've done wedding cakes, but you don't do wedding cakes.
No, I don't.
I guess those are as complicated
I
as
did
they
a wedding
look.
cake for my daughter
Well, I can
my
understand
daughter's
that.
wedding.
That's
Yes.
that's a great exception.
and a couple others, but I won't be doing any more.
No more.
No.
Was this the kind that where you see them stacked up?
Yes.
With the one on top?
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. So where did you learn this? By doing? Somebody show you, or you have a knack for it, or
I just
mixture
love to
rolling out?
bake and love to cook.
Wow.
And I try different things.
So it's
you know.
not all pastries and stuff. It's not all desserts and cakes and cookies. You do other stuff as well. Am I right?
Well, like what? I mean...
Like things with like meat, you know, pot roast lasagna, those kinds of things.
Oh, gracious, yes, that's an everyday thing.
Sauce?
I have a big family.
Okay, now I've noticed as you've been working here that it wasn't just that first splash of flour on top. This is a continual process as you're working through. Explain to us, please, why are you adding more flour? You were saying it is...
Because of the butter that's put into it, it gets soft.
Okay,
And you have to put more flour so that you can manage it, handle it better.
okay.
Okay?
And is it because we're like in a really hot
Yes, that has a
kitchen?
lot to do with
Okay,
it.
all right. So maybe at
Because
home...
it gets soft quicker, you
Right.
know? Mhm.
Okay, and there we have it. We've got, looks like 18 on the first tray. There we go.
Yes.
And not quite the same amount. That's what, another dozen over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right before they go into the oven, what you're going to do here is, and we'll show everybody what you're doing. You're going to take 2 spoons, and one of them is a slightly larger spoon, a tablespoon. You fill that with guava jam, and then you take the back of the other spoon, and you're just moving it on into the little indentations that you've made.
Yes.
And they're really nice to look at, and then they taste really good too.
You don't put too much jam in it because it will run over and make a mess.
Okay, so a little goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And I suppose you could use other jams as well, right?
Yes.
To your liking.
To your liking. But you know, we like Bahamian jam, the
That's
guava
right.
jam.
I'm curious, do you know how to make guava jam?
Of course. Don't ask me such a question. I have 6 children.
All right, so the recipe has yielded 30 cookies, and they've all been filled with the guava jam. And as you said, we could use other kinds of jam, but today we're going to use Bahamian guava jam. And they're ready to go into the oven. The oven is now at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and these are going to go in for about 15 to 20 minutes. You're going to tell us what to look for, right? Because we don't want them to burn. And you'll tell us how we can make sure that that doesn't happen. And there they are. We'll keep that closed until about 15 minutes from now. Okay, so now we're going to move along to rugelach, right? And this has a few phases to it. And the first thing you're going to do is make
The filling.
Okay. And what goes into that?
Pecans,
Hmm.
currants.
Now tell me a little bit about the currants. I had asked you if you could use raisins, and you said no. Tell
No,
people
because
why not.
the raisins are too big.
Okay.
You need the smaller little currants. If you use raisins, you'll have to cut them in half.
Oh, okay.
And that's too much work.
Yeah.
And also cinnamon.
Mhm.
And a half cup of sugar. So we'll mix that.
This is a dry mix.
Yes, this is a dry mix.
How did you encounter this recipe for the first time?
I saw it in the book and decided to try it. And I liked it, and my children loved it. But it's a little bit difficult to make. I told my son Philip that the last time I made it would be the last time I'll make arugula. But here I am, making it again.
Well, we really appreciate this because it's really a stunning recipe. I really enjoyed sampling it last night, and I can't wait to see how this is done so that I can try this, and you should too. Well, that's that. You're done.
Yes. with
Okay,
that
well, let's
one.
take a look at that. I thought we had time. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so what happens next?
Well, we'll make the dough.
All right. I'll set this aside.
Yes.
Get it out of the way?
Mhm.
Okay. And for that, you're going to need...
A half pound of butter.
Mhm.
And a half pound of cream cheese.
Oh, this comes later, huh?
We'll mix that together first. It should be at room temperature. I hope it isn't too soft.
Yeah, it's hotter in here than it would be in a regular
Yes, I'm
kitchen,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
There we go. And by hand.
Yes. I don't want any mixes with this. Get too soft.
Wow, this is... I had asked Derek when he was on the show if he uses bread mixers and things like that, and he said no, he really enjoys working with his hands.
Mm-hmm. And now we'll put 2 cups of flour.
There we go. So far, it looks similar to the shortbread. Oh, but this has cream cheese in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What was that you just added? A little bit of sugar?
Yes,
Okay.
2 tablespoons of sugar.
Okay, it's starting to look a little crumbly. Let me look at it in real life here. Yeah, okay. It resembles, I'm going to get in trouble for this. It resembles Johnny cake as it's coming together.
No, this is not Johnny cake.
Not mashed potatoes and not Johnny cake. Look at that. Okay. And so what's going to happen to this? Because this is not going to be ready to go right out of the bowl, am I right?
No, it has to go in the refrigerator for an hour.
And then you're now getting it just the right texture, I would imagine, huh?
This has to be taken out and put in.
I see you brought your rolling pin.
Mm-hmm. You don't need it really, you just put it together like this.
This is like shaping it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
We'll make
now,
4 portions out of this. Sorry.
very light pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take much for this. This is a very, what's the word we want to use here? It's very soft.
Mm-hmm.
Very soft dough.
Very delicate to work with. Okay.
That's the first one, and this is the last one. So you split it into 4, and then you roll it out onto these wax paper sheets. And we're getting them ready to go in the fridge. And I'm guessing that's to stiffen them up a little bit so they're easy to work with?
Yes.
Okay. And there are the other 3 that have already been done. And we're in luck because, as I mentioned, you've been doing quite a few of these in the last few days, right? And so you've actually got a set in the fridge ready to go so that we can continue moving. I'll do the trade-off. I'll put these in the refrigerator and bring you the others that you've prepared already.
Okay.
This one's been refrigerated already, and I know we've got quite a bit of light in here making unnecessary heat. And so what you've done there, you keep working. I'll see if I can get the shots that we need to show everybody. That there is the apricot jam, and you're just sort of spooning it out and spreading it across.
This what really gives the flavor. You get the crunchiness from the nuts, but the apricot jam is the one that gives the flavor.
Wonderful, nice sticky texture. It's oh, it's gorgeous. And then, yeah, while you're doing that, I will get over here so that we can see. This is what we started off with. This is the filling mix. And if I remember correctly, you tell me if I've missed anything out. In there, you've got sugar, the pecans, and the currants. Anything
and cinnamon.
else? And cinnamon. Cinnamon, that's right. And then we're spooning it on there. This would really be nice, I think, around the holiday time. I know some people who will make cookies and biscuits and things, and they'll buy a tin and put them in and give them away as gifts. This really would be nice around the holiday time.
I would really have to love somebody very much to give them this as a gift. I make these only for my children. Well, Winston Saunders, though, I used to give them to him.
So that's a wedge shape you're cutting there. And you're rolling from the outside in toward the point. So it actually looks a little bit like a croissant.
Yes.
But instead of bread, it's a cookie with all this wonderful stuff on the inside. There we go. So a very light touch as you roll them. Otherwise, the dough will tear.
Yeah.
A home stretch, and it's a race against time to make sure that the lights don't
Melt it all.
don't melt it.
These are going to be 2 small ones.
Now we were checking earlier, and I was asking you, because we still have the shortbread cookies in the oven, and I was saying, well, I know that they're pale when they come out, and they're pale when they go in. So you were telling me how to know when they're done. And you said that if they're hard, then they're overdone.
Yes.
How do we make sure that they don't get too hard?
Now, don't let them brown.
Don't let them go brown.
No.
Okay.
Okay, that
So
one's
that's
finished.
the first batch. We just take a look here. That made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here we go. And this is on a greased sheet.
Cookie sheet.
All right. So let's continue with the others. Well, you were saying the recipe said it would yield about what
24.
And how many do we have here?
32, eh?
Look at that. Okay, so this is what they look like before they go in. We've seen the technique, but let's just get a little look up close. So there we go. So they're rolled up and placed side by side onto these cookie sheets. Now these are greased cookie sheets, even though they have a lot of butter in them.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so I'm going to get these in because we don't want to keep them sitting out here under these lights for too long. Very delicate, it seems, right? The rugelach is in the oven, and it's baking at 350 degrees. And while that's happening, let's just get a sense of who you are other than this, fabulous cookie maker, right? So we know that you have 6 children, and they're They're out there doing wonderful things. And you moved here as a teenager from Long Island, right?
Yes.
What part of Long Island?
Grace.
Grays, Long Island. Okay. My dad was, I think, from Salt
Pond.
Yeah, there you go. So, and when you came here, your first job was?
I worked at the Nassau Guardian.
And wow, and doing what there?
And the bookbinding section.
Wow, you've had a number of interesting jobs because I know, because your son Philip tells me about the job that you had at the hospital. Tell us what you did there. That sounds like a really interesting job.
Well, I was house mother there for 12 years.
And what does that mean?
I supervised the nurses' homes.
Okay.
At that time, the nurses came in from the islands and some from here, and they lived on the compound. There were 3 homes: Baines Home, Bachelor's Home, and Dane's Home. And I worked there from 8 in the evening until 12, and to make sure that the nurses were all in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so does this mean that you were also a nurse, or?
No.
Okay,
no.
so you were in charge of dealing. So this means they were actually quite young then.
Yes.
Okay, and they would the home was provided for them right there on the compound. That's really interesting. All right, so
they didn't like the idea too much, though.
well, tell me about that. I was wondering if this was a delicate area. Tell us about that, because there's some quite humorous. Well, humorous now. I guess they were troublesome back then, but
some of them. But you know, they didn't like the idea of being locked in. But I always told them, I'm not locking you in. I'm locking people out.
There you go.
Because there's such a thing as, you know, young boys coming by and wanting to get in. And,
That's right. Okay.
And so I just took care of that.
Wow.
Some of them didn't like it very much, but
And
I think some appreciated it afterwards, because I meet some of the older nurses now, and they're very thankful for what I did.
I'm sure, because I can relate, because you know, as a teenager in high school and stuff, I thought the teachers were very strict, and I'm actually quite friendly with them now. I think they did a very good job, even though at the time I wasn't quite sure of that, so I can relate.
There was one night that I came on the porch of one of the homes, and the gentleman was sitting there, and I said, "I'm sorry, sir, you're not allowed in here." And his daughter, well, it was a father of one of the girls, and she said, "This is my father." So he said, "I am very thankful that there's somebody here looking out for my daughter."
Yeah. You also had some clothing stores, right?
Yes.
2 of them?
Well, one in Palmdale, and then we moved on Bay Street.
Oh, okay. So it was the same store that moved.
Same store, yes.
And my sister's done that too. That can be hard work, you know, but it can also be interesting. But you get cool dresses out of it and stuff like that too, right? I got up to date on the fashions by having an in the fashion industry. So were you were these like tailored, or what kind of dresses?
No, just regular. We had some dressy dresses and some not too dressy, you know. We sold more than dresses, you know. We sold children's clothing as well.
Okay.
But I had some very fine children's clothing, Darissa dresses, which was very nice. I enjoyed it for a while, but I'm glad I'm not in it now.
Okay, why is that?
Too much of a headache.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's hard work. It's harder than it looks. And what are you working on these days?
Working at home. I'm a homemaker.
We have here the finished product. We have the shortbread with the guava jam and the arugula. Wow, you've been busy, and it's been worth it. The results are beautiful. Congratulations, and thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
If you want to try these at home, and you should, then you want to go to our website, www.guesswhoscooking.com. You can find the list of the ingredients there and follow the steps that we've shown you, and it's easy, right? No, but it's worth it. The shortbread's easy.
Yes.
The arugula, I think that's worth it.
It's worth it.
At least to try it out. Something I want you to tell us. You were saying that you always try a recipe out as it's given to you, and then you may have
If I don't like it, I change to what I think it should be in it.
Right, and also the oven. You were saying you got to watch out for that, because they're very. We have a little thermometer in there now.
Yeah, well, I keep one in mine also.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. All right, thanks again for joining us. Do come back again next week. We'll have another interesting person join me in the kitchen and share with you something wonderful.